My name is Queenter Mbori, but my friends call me Queen. I am the first president of a Standard Group Women Network, which is a gender transformative program, professional network that seeks to articulate the voice of women at the workplace and position them for greater impact in society. So Standard Group Women Network was launched in 2018, courtesy of an employee engagement survey that was commissioned by my organization, which is the Standard Group PLC. Now, from the feedback that was received after the results were compiled, it showed that women were less engaged at work. And if we compared the level of engagement for the male employees and the female employees, there was a big gap. So Standard Group Women Network was tasked with the responsibility to find out why women were not engaged and, of course, to come up with solutions. So the beneficiaries of a Standard Group Women Network are several. There could be millions, there could be thousands. They are both local here, they could be abroad. It's global because our network has two sets of beneficiaries. One are the people who have directly benefited, and those are the employees of Standard Group, because this initiative was created for them, the female employees of Standard Group, to create an enabling environment where they can thrive career-wise and they can also thrive elsewhere away from work. However, based on the initiatives that the network has managed to do, for example, when you launched her standards to try and narrow the gender gap in media in general, the impact has actually traversed Kenya, traversed Nairobi, East Africa. It has gone global because impact cannot be measured sometimes when it comes to media, because you never know who is watching a program, who is being inspired by the initiatives that you do. So in terms of the people who have benefited, many people have been impacted, and we are hoping to have more impact. We have had several highlights. The Standard Group Women Network is actually guided by 5 objectives. One is in career progression, development. The other one is leadership, mentorship and training. The other one is staff welfare. We also have an objective on zero tolerance to sexual harassment and, of course, gender equality advocacy in the news. We have, in all the objectives, we have had at least 1 or 2 milestones. But the one that I'm really proud of is what we did with the anti-sexual harassment policy at my organization. We worked in partnership with One Infra Women in News to revamp the sexual harassment policy, which was initially part and parcel of our sexual harassment policy. We were able to review it, we were able to offer training, conduct awareness to the entire staff, whether they were men or women. So I'm talking about maybe 850 plus, and everyone was trained from the executive management down to the mid-level management to even people, the entry-level employees. And from that training, our organization it is known that we have zero tolerance to sexual harassment. And even if you see, I'm not saying that we had so many cases of sexual harassment, but the fact that we were able to conduct training and create awareness, we have had almost no cases at all. And we are very excited about that. This model has actually been quoted by several media organizations who have been asked to even benchmark with us. But there are many other things. The other one is the Standard Group Mentorship Academy, which just received the first cohort. We're still in partnership with One Infra Women in News. We were able to use peer-to-peer mentorship. And now we are set to have about 20 mentors graduate and 28 mentees graduate. It's very different when you have an idea, but when you see it coming into fruition, when you see it becoming a reality, it is totally different. So those are some of the initiatives that we are very proud of as the Women's Network. I think post-COVID-19, the media has faced a lot of challenges. And even before we focus on the post-COVID, there are other issues that existed before then. So I'm going to focus on 2. One is the fact that the media is largely male-dominated. It has always been, and that didn't change before the pandemic or even after. If anything, if you look at the stats, and the progress has been quite slow. So as a women's network, we were cognizant of that fact. As a matter of fact, during the COVID-19 period, we engaged in a lot of capacity building. We partnered with different organizations to empower our women to upskill so that they were able to conquer the challenge, the pandemic first of all, but then thereafter, it was a strategy for us to ensure that our women or our members are able to compete effectively with the men should the opportunities come up. And they did. For example, in my organization, we were doing a digital transformation project where we were converging all our newsroom projects. And our organization is one in this country, and I think even in the region, that was able to appoint almost 30% of women in editorial positions, courtesy of the capacity building that we did during the COVID-19 period. On to the second challenge. Now, when you talk about digital migration and digitization, I think there's one industry, if there's one industry that has felt the blow, it has actually the media industry again. Unfortunately, when these things happen, it is the women who bear the brunt. It is the women who suffer more. So we have seen lots of job losses. We have seen people quitting the industry. We have seen a lot of women suffer from mental health, for example. So as a result of that, as a women's network or as a women's organization, what we were doing is creating mentorship programs to ensure that these women are okay. You know, sometimes all it takes is just to find out if someone is okay. The other initiative we have been doing, for example, what I'd mentioned before, is creating the Mentorship Academy. It is actually a 4-month intensive program where women work together to understand the challenges that they are going through and of course come up with the solutions. But we've also had a lot of, I would call them talks, where we bring in different speakers just to encourage the women, to make them understand that possibly what they're going through, they are not the only ones, and also help them forge ahead. And finally, the other thing we've been doing is capacity building on the women, giving them tips and techniques on how to rebuild themselves and how to rebrand themselves ahead of the challenges that are anticipated as a result of the digital migration. Where do we see ourselves in the next 5-10 years? One, we will be winning the Nobel Peace Prize. But on a serious note, since Standard Group Women Network was launched in 2018, initially our focus was actually in our own media organization. But little did we know that there was a gap and there was a lapse in the entire industry in Kenya. So the more we did our thing internally, the more we realized that there was more work to be done out there. So in the next 5 to 10 years, we are already in talks with different organizations on how to recreate some form of a Standard Group Women Network or a women's network or a safe space for women in different media organizations in Kenya. Thereafter, we will move to other organizations which are not necessarily media related, because we've also received a lot of inquiry. Good thing is we thank the Lord because we are a media organization, so we are blessed with platforms where we can actually change narratives, we can change perceptions. And word has been going out there about the successes of Standard Group Women Network. So we are hoping that in the next couple of years, we'll have an umbrella body, we will be the big sister, as we hold hands for different organizations to share with them some of the tips and tricks that we have used. And of course, at the end of the day, ultimately, our goal is to minimize the gender gap, to create an enabling environment where women can thrive. Why do I think I deserve to be a Zuri alumni? I think Zuri alumni, already, I would say we already have a voice, but now the Zuri alumni platform will give us some sort of a microphone where we will be heard even more, even further. Because in terms of appreciation and recognition, you know, a lot of times, particularly for women, we are guilty of doing things, but then we are scared of blowing our own trumpet. Yet, when you talk about our counterparts, they are very good at blowing their own trumpet. So we feel that this platform is actually ideal to reach thousands, millions of people out here, to show them how we can work together empower the society, reduce these gender inequalities that exist, reduce the patriarchy, and of course to experience generation equality in our lifetime at least. I don't think we have to wait 100 years. So I believe this is a great platform to highlight some of the initiatives that we have done as Standard Group Women Network. It is a great platform to reach out to several other organizations. It's a great platform to work together with other organizations and even pool funds, because one of the other challenges that we face as women-led organizations is lack of resources. So it is a platform that we can also use to fundraise, to have more impact and make this world a better place. How do we embrace equity or equality as a Standard Group Women Network? If you took a knife and slit our vein and took the blood and took it for testing, what you will read there is gender equity and gender equality, because our initiatives, our activities, our policies, all of them point towards gender equality. It is in our blood, it runs in our system. Since we launched in 2018, we have never looked back. Even without the International Women's Day, we were already on the roll, we were already on the move. Like I said, our initiatives such as the Standard Group Mentorship Academy, what are we doing? We are trying to create an enabling environment for women to thrive. Statistics show that actually mentorship helps women grow. When it comes to anti-sexual harassment, we already have a policy in place. We don't just have the policy for the sake of it. We have conducted training. We are practicing what we preach. When it comes to gender equality, we have a gender desk at our organization, courtesy of the Women's Network. We have partnered with organizations such as BBC Gender Equality Tool. We have a show specifically to try and narrow the gender gap. These are things that we are doing because they need to be done. We are trying to ensure that we have gender equality at the workplace. When it comes to career progression, people are already being mentored. So in essence, what we are trying to achieve is what we call the gender mainstreaming. We want to ensure that at the end of the day, everything we do as an organization follows gender equality principles and policies, be it in hiring, be it in appointment, be it even in conducting businesses. We are almost getting to a point where we want to see, we analyze who are we doing business with. Is it male-oriented or do we have female? So everything we do at our organization, guided by the objectives of the Women's Network and guided by the goodwill of organization, and of course the board, who have also been in full support of the Women's Network, spells gender equality. So we thank Zuri Awards for giving us this opportunity, but moving forward, we are not going to stop. If anything, we are going to increase our steps, because we need to experience gender equality, not just in our organization, but different organizations. Thank you so much, Zuri Awards, for nominating me, for recognizing the blood, sweat, tears that we go through as women who are leading organizations or professional networks for women. The recognition means a lot to me. It means a lot to the girls and women of my organization. It means a lot to the girls and women in this country and in this world, because a lot of times we are rarely recognized for some of these things that we do. I hope that we win, and the win will actually be a win for all of us.